Da-da-dun-dun, da-da-dun-dun. Welcome back, my friend, to Bjjbrick Quick. Come on in. Have a seat. My name is Byron. This is your quick jiu-jitsu podcast. And I'm going to tell you about my first blue belt move. And maybe it needs to be said first that the blue belts today are better than I was back. That would put me about 2004, maybe early 2003. I was a blue belt. I don't know for sure the date. I started in 2002. It took me a couple of years, give or take. It wasn't much after 2004, if it was 2004. But the biggest difference was the training room and the access to techniques that I was unaware of. These things are totally different. If you were interested in something, go out there and find it and add it to your game. I was watching VHS tapes and looking at books. We trained super hard. My coach was a purple belt. My teammates were white belts. Super hard training with that is hard to compare to being in a room with several black belts, several brown belts, all of which are willing to help you, or most of which are willing to help you. That's an entirely different room. How good you're going to get in about 2 years? Way better than I was. But we're all going to have a best move when you're a blue belt. Look for that if you're a blue belt or you're getting close. What's going to be your best move as a blue belt? Maybe it changes through the belt. But my best move, finishing white belt on into blue belt, I would attempt a triangle. And sometimes I'd finish the triangle. Be perfectly happy with that. But my triangle would typically fail from them just kind of popping my legs. I didn't have a strong lock on the triangle. And then I would immediately attack the armbar. And that was a good move. He worked on the other blue belts pretty well. It worked on all the white belts that I could remember. I could be wrong. But that was my first good move. I think about why that worked so well, because my triangle was pretty good. I finished a lot of times with that triangle. But when it would start to fail, I wouldn't let it fail entirely. I would abandon it for a better technique for that arm bar. Once I felt like, hey, I'm triangling Gary. Okay, he's close to getting out. Come on, finish this triangle. Come on, finish this triangle. Okay, like Gary's at the point where he's probably going to get out. That's the time I would decide I'm going to switch to an armbar. Instead of waiting until it was too late. I do this a lot now with guard retention. I'll be working a guard technique. Of course, my opponents are either trying to defend or shrug it off, but they're always trying to pass my guard. If I'm working a guard technique and you're getting really close to passing my guard, I'm going to frame up, shrimp out, recompose my guard. I don't want to escape side control if I'm working in a pretty competitive role and I want to do well. If I want to work on side control escapes, that's fine. But it's far better for me to defend the finishing of the guard pass than it is to try to stick with something until they hammer that pass in too deep. And they defend my technique and they get the guard pass. So I guess learning when to bail on a move was something I learned fairly early on with my attempted triangle, bailing on that. Some people would say transition to that. Transition from a triangle to an armbar. The key to any really good combination is to have a legitimate threat from that first one. If my triangle sucked, there'd be nobody ever put themselves in a spot where I could armbar them. They put themselves in that spot because they did want to get choked. They were trying to get out. Another good thing to have is a couple of other answers. I didn't have an omoplata after my triangle failed. That'd have been nice. There's a good omoplata after a triangle. Didn't know that one. So a couple of options, depending on what your opponent's doing, are another big element to having a good combination attack. That was my first really good, I say really good in, like, I guess, quotes. For me, it was one of my things I liked the most as a blue belt. Hope you have a great day today, and stay sweaty, my friend.